This is Nish and Alex, and you're listening to the Brutal Delicious podcast with The Offering.
Yeah, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
What's up, Bruce?
Hey, how are you, my friend?
How you doing? How you doing, Nish?
Where are you guys located?
What's up, dude?
I'm in Oregon.
He's in Portland. I'm in San Francisco.
Oh, okay, cool. So you're not too far from each other. I'm over in Richmond, so it's early there, right?
I mean, early for metalheads. I think
Yes, yeah.
So we can just jump right in if you want, and we'll see where we end up going. New sophomore record, Seeing the Elephant, is out. Now that it's complete and finished, how do you feel about it? And are you satisfied with the outcome?
I'm happy with it. Al, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super proud of the album. I mean, it feels like it was an achievement. We definitely tried to one up our production and one up our songwriting and tried to make the music a little bit more aggressive.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, super stoked that we made it. Can't wait to make the next one.
Was this written during the pandemic or after?
Yeah. It was. I think Ghost Mother was written, I think, literally like 3 months after we released Home, which is about 3 months before the pandemic. So it was like late 2019, 2020. We really picked up gears. I want to say halfway through the year of the pandemic, so like maybe summer 2020 is when we really started dialing it in and saying, all right, we're on to the next one.
Right.
'Cause there was a moment where we were just like holding out, like, you know, are there tours happening in this year? And then eventually we're like, screw it, let's go straight to
Right.
the next album here.
I feel like a lot of people I talked to were able to take advantage of that downtime to really hone their craft and, make the record that they've always wanted to make because there was nothing else to do, right?
Yeah, I think what was cool about this one in its own way. I mean, like every album's going to be different just based on circumstance, but this one was kind of cool because it felt like it was very like it was pieced together. There was less of this part's boring, so we'll just jam it out in a jam room and make it cool.
Right.
Like we weren't really able to do that, so it was more like, all right, like, is the core idea great? And there was a lot of times where Al and I would sit down together and we'd be like, I have this cool vocal idea. Like, how do we fit this in? And we'll like break the whole song structure apart because we're like, okay, like we can't cover this up with a jammy part. We have to like make sure this melody or this thing is suited for the part. So that was cool.
Did you guys, since you're on the same coast at least, did you guys get into the same room to write together like the old school way, or is it more like emailing stuff back and forth like everyone's doing now?
A little bit of both.
Yeah, kind of both. I mean, Nish was really led the production. I mean, did all the production on the album. And so, like Nish had to do, there was a lot of, I would say, communication through like phone calls and emails and stuff, but Nish did manage to make it to every single person's house or in the studio for the drums, at least, to at least sit in the room with us at least once.
Yeah, there was a lot of Alex would fly in. Actually, you drove down a few times from Portland when they weren't flying.
Yep.
And it was one of those things where it's like, all right, well, we got 3 days and we don't know what the next 3 days are going to be. So we just like did nothing but drink coffee and work for like
Right.
literally like 4 or 5 days straight sometimes when we did have the time to do it, which is actually really fun looking back on it.
Okay. So is there something you want your fans to take away from after listening to Seeing the Elephant, or even more specifically, My Heroine? Is there a message or a takeaway?
Well, specifically for Heroin, it was really just it's really just a love tragedy, right? Of just dependency and, themes of suicide, which I know in the heavy metal community is pretty intense. Overall for the album, I think the theme is pretty political, which is also a taboo within the metal community. We were just writing within the 2020 political culture war.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was hard to avoid those. I would say it wasn't hard to avoid, but it felt like it needed to be talked about just to document the time that was going on, particularly the I live in Portland, Oregon, so for us, it was 100 days of protests.
Right.
So it was super easy to find inspiration for lyrical content. You know.
Right. So do you ever think about, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but do you ever think like, I mean, we're in a culture now where you can't really say anything, or you have to like be careful about stepping on people's toes. Are you concerned about that when you're writing, or you just say, fuck it, and this is it?
Dude, fuck it. I people are forgetting that metal is a genre of rebellion.
Yes.
And it's also a genre of loud voices. I just so happen to be a writer who has a really big platform, so what I'm saying gets amplified. But within the like hardcore scenes or the underground scenes, I mean, none of the words or themes that I'm singing about is taboo at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel a sense of responsibility with your given your platform?
Yes. It gives me significant anxiety.
Does it really?
Yes. I understand. See, when you have interaction with people who admire your work, you realize that the words you say have a lot of influence. Right. So I choose my words correct. Oh, I don't want to say correctly because I'm wrong a lot of the time, but but I definitely choose my words wisely because I know it will affect people. And so usually if I'm saying something that will offend someone, I'm doing it on purpose.
Right. How much thought goes into it though? Do you actually sit there and say, I'm straddling the line, I shouldn't say that? Or it's too vulnerable, or it's too offensive, or it's too whatever?
Honestly, I tried to get to that line. I felt like it was important to see where the lines were and how far the record label would allow us to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I managed to take it right to the censorship line. So
I just want to say I think he did an awesome job because I've had so many people who have come up to me and talk about how I can't believe your singer said something this offensive. And it's like coming from the same person who'd be like, these millennials and zoomers are so soft these days, they can't even go to a comedy show without taking some criticism or whatever. And it's like,
right.
I loved the irony that he put into that. It was great.
And what I'm really finding that's really interesting is that well, never mind. You keep going with it.
hey, he's not pumping FTX or anything. You know what I mean? Like, he's not.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, I totally get it, and I didn't mean to push too much. I'm just curious because I 100% agree with you. Metal has always been the rebellious or challenging the status quo, and nowadays anything is offensive or taboo.
Yeah,
and it's weird. Anyway, getting back to the offering. I was reading the bio or the thing Nikki sent over, and I need to know about the church setup and how you guys pulled that off.
So basically, we've been, I've been getting slapped in the face a lot for, by both friends, label and the band themselves, just for, hey, you should be doing more playthrough videos. And Alex and I have gone on rants all the time about, like, there's something about taking the mystique away of these playthrough videos where it's just like, you're just in your room playing a song.
Right.
And so for me, I'm always on the team of like, well, if you're going to go make a video, like, go all out, you know what I mean? Like, make something really cool with it. And so I thought the reaction to Alex's shirt on the music video for Wasp was really funny, honestly, because I just did not think, I thought that the reaction would be something completely different, but it kind of shocked me to see so many people that were like defending religion in a really kind of weird way. And I'm sure Al can chime in on how kind of that was. And I thought, okay, well, if this song is so, if people are really sensitive about religion, why not do the playthrough in a church? And so a couple of my friends and I, we like called a bunch of churches in the area, and like I think 14 said no.
Mm-hmm.
And I even called the one that did The Birds, like that movie.
Oh, really?
And they said no. They were like, like we have, a legal process and won't let us do this. I was like, okay, whatever. And then I found this one church that had this really enthusiastic guy that ran it. It was kind of one of those like First United kind of churches. It wasn't actually like a First United or whatever, but the guy was just like, yeah, I love music. Like, you're playing guitar. And like, he found that I went to a Christian high school, and he knew the Christian high school that I went to. And that kind of like, made him feel really comfortable with it.
Right.
And then we show up, and he hasn't heard of the band. And he's like, so what do you guys like? What have you played? And then my friends are just like, oh yeah, he's played in Body Count. Like, they just refuse to mention The Offering, like, because the first thing he's gonna see is obviously the thumbnail of Alex with a God Isn't Real shirt on the Wasp thumbnail. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. So we start playing, and I see like in the back pew, he's like looking at his phone, and you can see he's like getting way less enthusiastic as he's like diving deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm like, like, did one or two playthroughs, and I was like, we gotta go. Like, it's like it got so stiff by the end of the night, and my conscience has definitely weighed a little bit on that one. I might not do that ever again. He was a nice guy, and I don't know.
I mean, at least he let you finish, though, right?
He did. I mean, it was just him and me and a bunch of my friends. So like, my friends aren't that intimidating, but like, it's a group, and so it's like, obviously you probably felt sensitive about like getting up, and we're playing metal, and it's like drop Z and shit, and so whatever. But that's the beauty of it, I mean, that's Al has a cool idea, and then we just start running with it, and that stuff like that starts happening. It's great.
Oh, that was your idea, Al?
Well, definitely the God Isn't Real shirt was definitely my idea.
Nice.
Nish I just ran with the t-shirt in the comments.
Yeah, Nish really took the initiative to go into a church to get it done.
That's pretty funny. That's really funny. I had to ask about that because I've come across that before.
It's really, I mean, Wasp in general, like both the music video, Al's lyric shirt, the response on Guitar World to that video. I'm just amazed at how many pro-religious people there are in metal defending it. And I'm not, like, I believe whatever you want to fucking believe, as long as you're, fucking up people over or anything. But it's like, I thought metal was was not that. I was very confused by it. I was very confused.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not sure if there's a numerous amount of them. I'm pretty sure they're just a loud community. I'm sure there would have been significantly more death threats if they actually read the lyrics rather than just fixate on the shirt. So it's kind of the lesser of the two evils,
I guess. And I'm gonna just say something here, just for the hell of it. Like 10 years ago, maybe a little less, I put together an independent film on this subject about heavy metal Christian bands. And I don't have any kind of leanings either way. I was just curious about the whole thing. And there's quite a few of them.
Oh, tons.
I never realized that at all.
I went to a Christian school, and like, you weren't allowed to wear a band shirt unless they were Christian. And so my workaround was I would just find the most brutal, God-influenced bands,
right?
Like, I would have like an As They Lay Dying or an August Burns Red shirt with like
Impending Doom and all that stuff, right? And they're pretty
get around it
too, so yeah,
it was weird. It was weird exceptions. Then you find out, 2014 Tim Lambesis does that interview where he's like, we haven't been Christian this whole time, we were like fake praying with people, and you're like, oh, this is a lot to process. So
is it though? Is it really that really happens so infrequent that you're that surprised people exploiting religion in order to sell shit? I mean,
right.
Kind of one of the main tenets, right?
That's crazy. Anyway, so what does The Offering have planned here for the future, or the near future?
We got a lot of videos. I think with this current release, the adaptation post-pandemic, there's gonna be more silly. I mean, I don't know if I can one up the church playthrough. I don't know about that, but there's gonna be a lot more of those. I think Al is working on some Twitch stuff right now. We're just trying to really expand to, we've seen a lot of bands become fossils in like 1 or 2 years. Like, the rust has accumulated for a lot of the way I think a lot of older bands have handled the pandemic, as far as just the way people consume media nowadays. It's scary in some ways, but I want us to always kind of be ahead of that, or at least to hold on and adapt, because if we handle this release like we did last album, I mean, it's just not gonna be the same. I mean, even you probably understand from like the PR perspective too as well. Like, you had to change the way you operate.
Yes.
So for us, it's about kind of rolling with that kind of punch. Obviously, we're planning some live shows in 2023, so we'll see how
Yeah,
that
I mean, the
goes.
music business has totally changed. So you're going to, and there's, I guess, two schools. There's the school like I come from where I still really want the record and the whole physical media and to read the liner notes and listen to it how you sequenced it. But I get that there's people like my kids who are downloading one song at a time and looking for that song or that single every 6 weeks. And
Yeah.
you're going to adapt to that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, we have extra tracks off of this album that we haven't released yet. I don't know when we're allowed to talk about when they're coming out or not. But
Right.
they, it isn't just these 10 tracks. We have a few more in the tank, and so it's, whether we decide to do with those, how many playthrough videos we want to do. We might even try another music video at some point. Who knows? But we just want to make sure that we're. I feel like I'm with you. I know Al is actually for sure. It's like we love opening up a vinyl, looking at that giant insert, and kind of reading through lyrics and just letting it sit front to back.
It's like a whole ritual, right?
Yeah. And I've seen some great studies about how the next generation is kind of changing the way we consume media, and then we as creators responding differently. And I saw Maynard's Rogan quotes on about how people are trying to stay relevant, how desperate I on one hand I'm mixed on that one, but I feel like we're going to try to walk that fine line where we can adapt to compromising how we want to make that approach with a front to back experience.
No, I mean, I get it. You have to keep yourself relevant and you have to meet the fans, I guess, where they are. I was just making an observation because I'm old school and, it was a process saving your paper route money and going to the record store on Tuesday and getting that.
Yeah.
Getting
and there's also a fine line between staying true to the metal tradition of like touring and hard copies, and then also, making quote unquote like content for a younger generation who, if we do convert into fans, will give us longevity as a band, because ultimately a lot of the people in metal are somewhat aging and maybe even at the point where they won't be able to support us in 10 years.
Right. However, I do see when I go to shows now that people like myself are bringing their kids to the shows. There's definitely like this thing where, especially in metal, where, you introduce your kids to it and you bring them to the shows. And so you get that next generation. And I guess you end up with a multi-generational audience then, right?
Yeah, absolutely. How do you feel about Maynard's little spiel about bands trying to stay relevant? Because you saw what he said about how bands trying to have like TikTok relevancy or trying to appease fans or whatever.
Well, you can definitely tell when it's in there.
Oh yeah.
You can definitely tell when it's outside of the craft of the person you're watching.
Yeah.
But I haven't really looked into what his opinion was.
Yeah, Bruce, sound off. I'm sure he caught wind of that.
I actually haven't caught wind of it, but I'm assuming based on your conversation there that he's saying you have to kind of adapt to the.
Oh, he was saying the opposite.
Oh, he was.
He's saying it reeks of desperation, trying to stay relevant.
I disagree with that, but I also get it. I mean, I guess you've been saying fine line. It sort of is, right? Because you definitely want your music to get heard and not just be shelved. And if the kids aren't going to buy the record or the CD or even a full download, they just want the single, then you've got to, as a musician, I guess you've got to stay relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, what's the harm in people discovering your music? You know what I mean? Like, we're not streaming on Spotify. Like, you're not giving us a Tool level paycheck for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of the irony of it all. It's like, well, why not spread the message and have other people enjoy what you've made?
And that's true what you just said too. I mean, he's in a whole different position, right? He's going to sell records.
I think it's fucking ridiculous. It's like we don't have 30, 40 people on staff and MTV and all these other mediums pushing for us. Like, we're working like our asses off trying to we're manually doing it ourselves to extend this experience in a different way. And it's like, dude, I don't know. I do agree though. Fine line, right? You can't. Right. You can't.
But the way you present it is 100% true. You've got to get your stuff out there, and however it is, you've got to meet the consumer where they are.
Yeah, and one thing that's interesting now is because of the new medium, we can hit as many people in one video as we could one tour. Right? Like, if we get 15,000 plays on one video, that's more people than an entire tour.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah. Even though it's totally lacking the rock star dream portion of the content, which sucks that I have to call content because ultimately that's what it is. But then at the same point in time, it will lead to larger venues and larger shows.
But I think that whole rock star thing is a thing of the past as well, right? With the advance of technology and all this other bullshit, there are not very many Kiss bands.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's true though. That's not 100% true because I mean, like you still play if you like we were lucky enough to play Vakken in 2019, and it still felt like rock starness, like signing free, like playing the show, going backstage, having a private chef, and signing 300 autographs. Like,
right.
Like you still get that, but there's a lot more time in the basement, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know?
I would definitely also say that the definition of we define rock star by what the fans define as rock star. You know what I mean? Like people would say Mick Jagger is a rock star, but today I think Adam Levine's doing the same thing. No one really wants to call him a rock star, right? It's kind of I think we just define what that really is in the first place, and so maybe the next generation's idea of what a rock star is completely different, and that's
I mean
okay.
Sometimes, and even there's concerts in video game lobbies now.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I know everything has changed. You were mentioning Twitch. I don't know anything about it, but I hear a lot of people doing stuff on Twitch, like Trivium, really big on Twitch.
Yeah,
he's like the top tier of that entire channel. I mean, I was watching tutorials last night trying to figure out how it all works and kind of doing more research. And he does all the tutorial videos.
That's crazy, right?
You know?
Incredible.
Cut off tea and everything.
Yep.
It is Orlando house, you know?
Good for him, man. He's figured it out. And I guess,
I mean, ultimately, he's funding Trivium to do bigger things with that, right? And, you know, like, we've had discourse over the years about that medium and how much behind the curtain you peel away, and that's all valid discussion for sure. I think it's just effective. I don't know very many Trivium fans today that, you know, don't, how do I put it? People that like Trivium are cool with that kind of thing, right? So
yeah, the question is,
as long as you're not disgracing the image of Trivium for your fans,
right?
Yeah,
that's fine line again, right? That's what we've been talking about the whole time.
Yeah, like is it taking away from the art portion of the music, you know? And I think in some cases, people's focus on content is leading towards less quality music, but then at the same point in time, that's not always true.
So at what point does it become a sellout then? Or is that not even a thing?
Yeah. I think the
you can't sell out
is when you sit in the room and you're writing a song and you are actively talking about the audience participation over what your intention is. And I think we've been guilty of that, even though I think even basement bands and starting up bands like ourselves back in the day are guilty of that. Like, you're trying to craft something that isn't authentic to yourself, and it's like, why do you fucking care? You don't even know if they're going to listen to it. Like, that's the irony of it all. And so,
and in the end, something like that comes across as insincere, right? I mean, I think listeners can understand that that's not really true to yourselves, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny. I watched the Blackpink documentary, which is hilarious because this is a mental interview. But I remember watching it, and in the first few minutes, I was like, you know, you have this idea like they're a pop act, they have to be manufactured, and then by the end of it, you're like, oh no, these are just like kids that this is all they know, and this is, you know, they're with friends and they're just trying to like make it work, and it's like that authenticity really showed through, even though they're a pop act, and it's like that's people see through that bullshit. I think if they weren't, people wouldn't. Like Justin Bieber is a great example of someone who people think is a dick because he's probably a dick, right? So it's I think you can't underestimate how humans can perceive and see through that bullshit.
How do we sell out? How can we make a ton of money if we can sell out?
I think we'd all love to know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I've got one more question, and then I've got a sort of little game that I want to play real quick that does really well in short. But I like it. What's next for you guys? I mean, I know you said you got a single and some dates coming up.
Yeah, we're working on some 2020 spring dates. We've got another, like, I'm pretty much doing a playthrough for every single song on this record, so that'll be you're looking at 10 songs right there. Alex has some really has a cool idea for one too
Yeah.
as well.
So I'm putting together, if I can get it together with my PR team and all the other artists involved. I'm putting together a bit of a vocal collab for charity. But other than that, I'm not really the one to do playthroughs because it's not very sincere.
Are you going to sneak into any mosques or synagogues this time?
Oh, we shouldn't talk about that on the internet, Alex.
Break into the police union building.
Right.
You have no idea what I'm planning for Roast Fire, people.
Oh, dude, I can't wait for that.
Anyway, so like I said, I've got this little game. It could be a minute, however long, but people love shorts, and I'm just as guilty as trying to get views.
Oh, go for it.
So
Go for it.
all I need you to do is tell me what's happening in this picture I'm going to share here in a second and what the next frame would be. All right?
Okay.
All right, so let me just hit share, and I will edit this out so it's smooth.
Cool.
But what's happening there?
Oh, Jesus. God, okay.
Mushrooms kicked in.
I guess it looks like a dude that took some ayahuasca and mushrooms, and he found his way on 10 o'clock on Adult Swim. Jackson Pollock's dick made a cameo on the top of his head. Al, what's gonna happen next? I have no idea.
Oh man, what's gonna happen next? He's gonna stand up and lay back down and go into a kaleidoscope world. That's what I think.
All right, let's roll with that one. Let's see what that happens.
So what do you
Let's see
think? What do you think's in his notebook? A manifesto of something?
It's green,
No,
so
dude.
it can't be political.
Middle school journal.
Fair enough.
No, it looks like wait. That's kerosene on his left, right? I'm assuming.
I guess it could be a manifesto because he's got gasoline and lighter.
Oh, is that like a communist manifesto kind of thing? Is that like what that is, or like a anarchist cookbook kind of thing? You know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about, but I don't know.
Oh, you don't even know what's gonna happen. Is there like a little like a pancake or a steak in the middle of the Jackson Pollock? You see what I mean? T-bone. See what I'm talking
Here?
about?
I think that's an artist palette. Or
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and say set the world on fire with your art, or
that is beautiful.
Oh God.
some fruity patootie garbage. Yeah. Let's before I say any more dumb shit, can we see what happens next?
Great. Well, that's all I've got, my friends. I hope that wasn't too bad.
No.
Oh, there's no next picture. Okay.
Oh, no. You want another one? I've got 10 of them, but that's the one I was using today.
Oh, okay. No, I thought there was gonna be like a next, like you guessed it and then you just guessed.
So
no,
who paints those?
So I don't know anybody who paints them. My sister is actually a psychiatrist in New York City.
Cool.
Oh.
And in the past, I've done Rorschach, the ink blot stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've done stuff like that, and that was kind of popular. And then that got old, so I tried something new. And she said, "Hey, I've got all these images." So she sent me all these fucked up images.
I wonder what it means that I see a photo and the first thought I think is, man, that guy's definitely on mushrooms.
But some of them are even more fucked up than the next one. It's really interesting. So I just use one like the whole day. I've got 9 interviews today, and we're just going to use this one all day. And then next month I'll use one of the next ones. But it's just interesting and it's fun, and people love to consume those.
Yeah.
Second funny videos, and the good trailers anyway. So or teasers.
I could totally see how that would be cool in a psychiatric.
Awesome. I appreciate your time. Hope that wasn't too bad.
No, dude, it was
No,
super
that was
fun.
awesome. That was
I know
hella
we
fun.
meandered quite a bit, but that's the way I kind of like it. Make it real organic and just see what happens.
Oh, dude, yeah, no, I don't like. We don't like the stiff stuff. We like
Yeah, and the truth is we do a lot of these like podcast videos, and a lot of them are not podcast-esque, like where we essentially just have a conversation rather than just being interviewed. I really
Fire off
appreciate the
fire off question.
yeah, fire off question. So like, thank you for
Oh yeah. So when it posts, you'll see that the title, how we bill them, is a casual conversation with whatever the offering. And that's kind of how we usually I have my partner with me, but she was busy today. She couldn't do it. But yeah, we just try and keep it. I do have a list and I'm prepared, but I like to just see where it goes and maybe not even touch the list.
I love
That
that.
was perfect.
Perfect. Thanks for putting up with it. I appreciate it.
Dude,
Nice,
thank
nice,
you.
dude. That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Good luck with the record, my friends. We'll talk to you soon.
Awesome.
thanks, man.
Peace
All
out.
right. Be well.